I understand Trevor was your intern several times, at least twice, right? What's your history with him?
Trevor was an intern several years back at Channel 8. He was an immediate standout. We don't have many interns that can speak Chinese. This guy was fluent in Mandarin. When he left SMU, he went to live in China for a while, and that's how he just polished up his Chinese. But he was always interested in language and in finance too. And that's one of the things that brought him up here to New York. He was trying to get on with some of the financial broadcasters. He was applying at places like Bloomberg and I think Fox Business. He'd been sending me scripts back and forth the past month or so. I just to look at. I just sent him a little, critique on Friday, back and forth. There's very little to critique about him. He was a sharp guy.
So you talk about the fact that you've actually been able to keep in touch with him. He was one of your interns, and you say he's a standout. I mean, how often are you keeping in touch with the many, many interns that you've had in the way that you were keeping in touch with Trevor?
Trevor understood that you needed to have contact, stay in touch with contacts. So Trevor always stayed in touch with me. I stayed in touch with him. He had been gone from Channel 8 for 6 or 7 years, but he was trying to find doors into broadcasting. And I talked to him probably, we might go a couple months without talking, and then we talked for a little while. He most recently reached out to me to critique some scripts that he was using to apply at places like Bloomberg and Fox Business, and I think maybe the CNN financial station as well too. But he was trying to find an on-air job up here in New York. He was really a Renaissance man. I mean, he lived in China. He's from Dallas. He spoke fluent Mandarin. And he loved to travel. He came up here. I mean, this guy was a risk taker. He didn't let anything pass him by.
When you talk about Trevor and his potential, just how far did you see it going?
Trevor had unlimited potential, in my opinion. He was somebody who wasn't afraid to take a chance. It didn't surprise me that he'd be on a helicopter flying around New York. That was awesome to see that he was doing that yesterday. I was obviously crushed to see what happened with that trip. But the guy had incredible potential. He wanted to try a little bit of everything, do everything, see everything. That's why he lived here in New York.
Jason, I want you to sort of, if you can, recall the first time that you met Trevor. Just sort of take me back to that one-on-one interaction.
Yeah, I think the first time I met Trevor was one of the editorial meetings at Channel 8. A new group of interns came, and they were introducing themselves. Trevor and I connected, not only because his dad worked at Channel 8, but he and I kind of share the same sense of humor. We like some of the same comedians, Dave Chappelle, so we always cracked up and shared those Dave Chappelle jokes with each other. Even long after he left also, we'd text each other back and forth some Dave Chappelle jokes.
I love that. This is really tough for the WFAA family because while Trevor was an intern, his father is also one of the longest tenured WFAA employees that we have here. And if you can offer something to the family right now, to Trevor and his family, what would you say to them?
I know Jerry super proud of his son. The fact that his son was staying in touch with people, the fact that his son went to China, the fact that his son got into SMU. It's a hard school to get into. It's an expensive school to study at. But Jerry was very proud of Trevor, and I know he was proud that Trevor was up here in New York, living out his dream, doing the best he could do and trying to find the next big break. I'll take this. I think you lived up here in the Northeast too. Yesterday, we were out in the city. Sunday could not have been more perfect in New York. It was 50 degrees. The sun was shining. It had snowed a few days before. It was perfect outside. In fact, I even took the son over to the Statue of Liberty that morning. We walked along the West Side Highway, a few parks over there. There are helicopters coming and going all the time up here. Commuter helicopters, probably some of them are private helicopters, and a lot of sightseeing helicopters. They're all over the place. Yesterday could not have been more perfect for that. Last night we got back to the hotel and started getting some alerts last night that there had been a helicopter crash. Behind me is the East River. We're staying down in the financial district, and the East River back here is behind us. We've been looking out at it every day and think that a buddy of mine lost his life in a helicopter crash behind us. It's heartbreaking, really, when you know someone you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is there any other aspect that we didn't touch on that you want to mention before we let you go?
I got up this morning, I checked my email like all of us do, and when I opened up the email, I mean, my heart sunk to think that that's what happened. I was coming up here with my 5-year-old, so I hadn't reached out to Trevor to hang out. Trevor probably wouldn't want to chill with a 5-year-old. But, you know, he and I last talked on Friday. He's a sharp guy. It's tough. It really is.
Brad, our GM, had mentioned in an email where he addressed what had happened to the entire WFAA staff. Just hug your loved ones a little bit tighter. And I assume that resonates with you as a father. You're on vacation with your son, you just mentioned.
Absolutely. There are helicopters, there are ferries, there are taxis, there's everything in the world up here. You never climb into one of these things and think something like this is going to happen to you. You know, Trevor got on that helicopter yesterday. He took a quick Snapchat picture, a little snap, and sent it out. And little did anyone know that's the last picture or snap there would be of him. So you never know.